Welcome to this OmniLife demo. I will be walking through the features and settings in the software so that you get a good look at everything that you can do. This top menu here is very helpful. You can open your saved quotes by clicking on Open. And here we have a list of saved quotes where we can open the quote or jump straight into the needs analysis for that quote. You can also access documents where you will find the PDSs and advisor guides and TMDs. Research I will go through later on in this demo, but that's where you will find the legacy products and will be able to compare old policies to current policies. And then we have this handy help section up the top where you will find the user guide, research methodology, training videos like this, and our service desk where you can raise any support issues. This is the landing page when you log into the software. You can create a new client just by entering in their details here and going to quotes. Let's start with a new client, just entering in the basic details. We can expand the occupations matrix here and look at how each insurer has rated that occupation, as well as look at the generic occupations. You can also choose those from this list as well. There will be a separate video on our needs analysis, so I won't go through that here. So jump into that one if you want to learn more about the needs analysis. And I'm just going to jump straight in to get quotes. On our left panel here, we have our quote options we can change. Options mode just allows you to switch between flexible or specific for different quote options, such as down here under premium waiver, you have include, exclude, or include if possible. Changing options mode to specific just removes any of those if possible options, which we call fuzzy options. Multi-select allows you to choose more than one option under maximum of 2 of the drop-downs. So under structure now it looks like I can choose more than one here, stepped versus level. And then if I entered in an amount here and got some premiums, I would be able to see both of those options compared side by side. As you can see, stepped versus level. So multi-select allows you to look at more than one option side by side on screen. And my quotes are going to refresh automatically, as you would have just seen if I have auto refresh turned on. If I click no, it'll wait until I've chosen all of my options to then refresh the quote. Let's add some more cover. Under income protection, we have a monthly benefit calculator where you can choose the replacement ratio and then calculate that benefit. Once you've done a quote with settings for the different cover options that you use maybe all the time, you can actually save those into the system by clicking Save as Default Quote Options. And then the next time you jump in to do a quote, all of those options will be set already. If you wanted to see Superlink, for example, by choosing Superfund as the ownership and then Superlink on the extension product, then under display options, we can choose to show super and non-super columns. That gives you a breakdown on screen of what that premium looks like. You can also see a breakdown by clicking on the premium, and that gives you a pop-up with all of the premium details, as well as the option to change products if you want to choose a different product that is available for that policy. The insurer column is where we can validate the premium on screen. We have that available with these insurers, but we're always working on connecting with more insurers as well to get those links across. So for example, with Zurich, if I click on the little bullseye, it's going to validate the quote on screen, which just tells us that Zurich has matched that premium from their information. When it goes green with a tick, we can also then transfer the quote into Zurich's portal by clicking on the arrow icon. We have our advisor credentials here, which we can save into the system as well for easy transferring next time. That brings across our client details and quote details from OmniLife into the Zurich quote portal, where then we can continue on with the quote and move on to application if that's what we wanted to do. You can also download the report straight from the insurer by clicking on the little document icon. Next, we can have a look at some of the options next to the client details up here. So if you click on occupation ratings, you can look at the matrix of how each insurer has rated that occupation. And you can see as well which occupation has been mapped for each insurer from their specific list. If you'd like to change that occupation, you can click on the insurer and then click change occupation and then search from their actual list. You can also add things like loadings if you know the percentage or dollar amount, either generic or per insurer. You can change the APL for this quote. Now there are default settings you can set that I will show you later on in this demo, such as APL score settings, things like that. However, if you wanted to change that from within the quote, you would just click on Quote APL and then select the insurers from this list. Any changes that you make here, you can click Update APL, and that would update the insurers in your premium results. You can change your scoring settings, different weighting options, as well as select a required feature or more than one required feature for your client, which would then filter out. Once you save that result, it will filter down to policies that have that required feature. We can also change the commission and discount settings under the Actions dropdown on the far right of each insurer's row by clicking on Commissions Campaigns. Under Campaigns, we can then select a discount to turn on or switch off, and then we can also change the commission level that has been set. Again, commissions and discounts are things you can set in your default settings, but this is just a quick way to change it from within the quote. And now we can see the MLC with the discount there as well. We can look at some on-screen graphs like projection and premium versus score, cumulative premiums versus yearly, and the tables. We can also do a report or two from this information by selecting some of those policies, just ticking the little box, and then selecting report. Now there's many reports here in this dropdown. I'll go through a few of them. Summary report just gives you the basic details and the table you see on screen, but it also allows you to include your client's current details. So policy with AIA, for example, whatever you want to write there. And then you can create that report, which will include what you've typed. So this summary report has the client details, the current cover you entered in, your required features, and the quote details. And then you get just the basic table of the premiums, the scores, and the insurers. Another commonly used report is the Insurance Research Summary Report, which allows you to bring in some of the research as well into the report with the premiums. So if we generate that report, that will include our summary with client details, one of the reports from the research, which shows with ticks and crosses which benefit is included or not included for each of those policies. And here we have the differences between them. And then the summary report for each of the insurers with the breakdown details of the premium, scores, and projection tables. And then at the end, you get the report graphs between all of the insurers. So that's a handy report to use as well. Let's jump in now to look at the research just by clicking Compare Features at the top of the results table. I've selected 2 insurers to bring through into research, but you can choose as many as you'd like. Now we're seeing that side-by-side product feature comparison with the product scores, feature text from the PDSs, as well as strengths, limitations, and commentary from us as a research house, which you can hide as well if you would prefer not to see. Text scores, strengths limitations, as well as showing just the differences and then showing perhaps where they're extremely different based on the score. Many reports you can generate from all of this information. One of the common ones is the feature similarities and differences, but you've also got features side by side, which is just going to generate all of the information you see on screen, just in different formats. If you don't want all of the information, you can deselect all of the products and benefits up at the top there, and then just select the ones you want to come through in the report, and those will be the only ones that come that are generated into your report. Let's look at the similarities and differences report real quick. Same one we saw before with the ticks and crosses, showing you what's different between them, and then also where they are similar in what benefits they do or do not include. If you expand the projection options heading, your premium's actually going to change to whatever you've selected here. So we're looking now at the 10 years average premium for those insurers. We can also look at cumulative, and then we can change that out 5, 15 years, whatever you'd like to see. And that shows you a better overview of comparing those side by side for your client. Those are on screen only, but it's a good indication of the comparison between them. Let's have a look at the standalone research. So we're going to click on research at the top, and this allows us to look at the legacy products dating back to 2003 and compare with the current. So I'm selecting a 2018 and searching by insurer. And we can just choose the PDS date range the policy was taken out in, and then selecting the cover to compare and click add. That puts that older policy in a list for us so that we can then go and select a current policy. Filtering again by insurer name and choosing the current PDS date range. Selecting the cover to compare. It shows us in blue what's been selected in the other policy, and click add. You can keep adding policies to this list, and when you're finished, hit research to look at, again, that side-by-side product feature comparison. So it has our current policy here with the older policy, and again, scores, product scores, PDS, commentary, text, and the same reports you can generate from this information as well. Now let's look at the default settings for your account. So click on the top right Advisor Preferences gear icon. Your first option is Insurer Options, where you can select your default APL, commission, and discount settings. Then you can choose the maximum or minimum commission level, just overall for all insurers. If we expand the retail heading, we can then select all of the insurers we'd like in our default APL. Then we can click on each insurer and choose a campaign to either switch on or switch off by default, and change the commission level if you'd like to set a different commission for that insurer. Then we can select any of the other insurers, super funds under the remaining headings. Next option is scoring. This is where we can set our defaults for score settings. So we've got two types of scores in OmniLife. You have feature score, which is the features and benefits compared to the market. And then combined scores, you have pricing versus features. Now, again, we have that methodology up under our help section if you wanted to read on how we calculate the scores. The score mode, you can choose which scores you'd like to display by default in your results. You can select the weighting for featured scores, the default display percentage, star ratings, whatever you'd like. And then you can choose the weighting for combined scores, default set to 50-50, but if you wanted to change that ratio for cover types, just drag that along as well as you can do that as a global setting. The Insurer Logins tab is where your credentials are saved if you choose to do that in our system for your validating and transferring. And then under defaults, you can choose a default options mode for your quotes, and you can choose your PDF document or Word document for your report format. Now, once we update these settings for new quotes, we can go and do a new quote with these settings. So I suggest coming in here first thing, just getting all of your defaults out of the way so that when you go to do a new quote, all of your defaults are how you would like them. Thank you for watching this demo of OmniLife. Hope that it helped you, and please let us know if you have any questions.